As Billy said, my name is Campbell. I'm the clinical director here. And today I'm going to do something a little different. Usually I'm teaching about addiction. I've worked here for 6.5 years. I'm a DUI treatment provider for multiple offenders in Dublin, Cochran, and Swainsboro. I'm on the board of directors here and for the Georgia Addiction Counselors Association. My entire life for the last 6 years has been based on talking about addiction, helping people get through their own addiction, helping family members cope with their loved ones' addictions. But instead of doing that today, instead of talking about your addiction and your recovery, I'm going to be talking about my addiction and my recovery. So it's a little bit different than what I normally do. But the opportunity came up for me to do this, and I jumped on it. Just to give you a little bit of history about myself, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about my drug use. I think if you're in this room today, you probably had a similar addiction to me. You know, drugs started out being fun, they got to where they weren't that fun, then you got to where they couldn't live without them, and then you needed really a touch from God to be able to get off of them. I know that's where I was at. I'm a lifelong Bulldogs fan. My family bleeds red and black. My dad played basketball at Georgia. My mom went to Georgia. I went to Georgia. My sister just graduated from there, and I've got another sister that's a senior there right now. Love the Bulldogs. I hope some people in here do too. But I grew up, I didn't have a hard life growing up. The more and more I've seen close to 3,000 people in the 6 years I've been here. And I heard horror stories about their life growing up, their life as a young adult, everything they've been through. And it almost makes me embarrassed because I didn't have to go through a lot of that. Most of the problems that I had, I created for myself. My biggest problem that caused me to use drugs was I didn't currently have drugs. So as long as I got over that problem and could use again, I was good. Growing up, I had just about everything I wanted, definitely all that I needed. We're in church every Sunday. My dad's chairman of the deacons at Marshallville First Baptist Church. My mom's Sunday school director. He's a high school principal. I had a good life growing up. Going to high school, I failed kindergarten. I failed kindergarten, and that gave me a drive to do better. I mean, in kindergarten, they don't test whether or not you can read, whether you can do math, remember stuff. They test whether you can tie your shoes and color in the lines, and I still don't wear shoes that I have to tie. But I failed it, and that was my first bout with disappointment. So I made it my mission to show those teachers up, and I graduated. When I graduated, I was valedictorian and star student. Went to UGA, joined the honors program, and from there, my life started to take a lot of turns that wound me up at the Christian Family Center. In high school, I smoked weed and I drank. Nothing too serious. I drank just about every weekend, but I never saw it as being a problem. Everybody was drinking. I was drinking too. I got blackouts sometimes. I got to the point where I couldn't stand up, but it wasn't anything odd because the next day I could get up and go do what I was supposed to do. At that point, when I was in high school and college, I could drink and do cocaine all night long until like 3 in the morning, go lay in bed, hop up at 6:30, take a shower, brush my teeth, and be in class at 8 o'clock. I'm 31 years old now, and if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I'm dragging. I don't know how I did it back then, but I was at a point where it didn't seem like it was bothering me. When I was doing alcohol, when I was doing weed, started on cocaine in college, it got to where I was doing it more and more, but I still didn't see it as a problem because I had something to cling on to. I was still making good grades. I was showing up to classes. I could put it away when I went home, a few times a semester so that my parents didn't see me actively using. So I thought I was fine. I thought everybody does drugs, everybody drinks, and then one day I'll just reach a point where I don't do drugs and drink anymore and I'll lead a normal life. And it sounded like a good plan. I got in my 5th year at Georgia, and it got to the point where I was about to go to med school. I was double majoring in biology and psychology. I'd already taken the MCAT, and around that same time, I got introduced to Oxycontin. When I first found Oxycontin, I thought it was a wonder drug. I would have been a spokesperson for it. I was telling people about it. I said, this drug is great. It's everything you've ever wanted and more. It'll make your pain go away. It'll give you energy, but it's not like cocaine. It doesn't make you a chatterbox. It's perfect. You can go to sleep on it at the end of the day. You just nod out and you're gone. You don't have to worry about taking benzos to go to sleep. No problems with it. mild itching sensation that went along with it. But other than that, no negative side effects. Well, what I found out quickly was when I started taking them, 40 got to where it wasn't enough, so I needed an 80. When I started doing an 80 and 80 wasn't enough, I needed 2 80s. And in literally a few months, I'd gone from splitting a 40 and doing one in the morning and one in the afternoon, doing 8 80s a day. I had a habit that I couldn't sustain financially, physically, mentally, and that's when it started taking its toll on me. I needed drugs to get up, I needed drugs to go to work, I needed drugs at lunch, I needed drugs at dinner, and I needed drugs to go to bed. There was nothing fun about it, and I'd reached the point where I wasn't even getting high anymore. I'd get a mild buzz, but all I was doing was sustaining. I was trying not to go into withdrawal so I didn't have to detox that day, and then I'd start the next day over and start all over again. Ended up skipping out on my med school interview, deciding I'd rather do drugs than have a career. And my life really spiraled out of control at that time. I'm not going to talk, like I said, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about my drug addiction because I don't think I can tell you anything that you haven't already experienced. I was an addict. I was an Oxycontin addict. I nearly died from it several times. I think everybody's got about the same type of addiction, but everybody has that one story, and I call it the good night story. And every time, I'm glad Ben's here, because every time I say this story, I mention his voice in my head, hear his voice in my head saying, good night. Good night?
Good night.
No, the loud one, like you used to do with Brian Thompson.
Good night.
Thank you. Where if you tell the story, even around a room full of addicts, they'll look at you and say,
good night.
You had a problem. Well, this is my story. Oxycontin was my drug of choice, but I enjoyed Xanax too. And weed gave me the munchies, but nothing like Xanax did. I'm a firm believer that I couldn't enter any of those man versus food challenges with enough Xanax and blow any of them out of the water. Well, I came home one night, and this is not too long before I came here. And I'd been doing Xanax, I'd been drinking, and I'm sure I'd eaten something, but I got home and I was hungry anyway. It was during the summer and I was at my parents' house. I go into the freezer, and this is when Walmart used to have the great value wings, the 24-count bags. It's perfect. Heated up 2 dozen in the microwave, ate them, went and passed out. Next morning, I'm still passed out like 10 in the morning. I hear this on my door. I was like, what? My dad comes in, he says, I need you to explain something to me. I said, what is it? I was trying to figure out how I was going to explain whatever he might have caught me with this time. And he said, did you eat chicken wings last night? I said, yes, I was hungry. I didn't have time to stop and eat, just needed something to eat. He said, well, we come in here. So we go in there and I look, and 24 chicken wings that I'd eaten were all in the sink in our nice glass plate that had been thrown in the trash can. I made a slight error in judgment there, and there wasn't any. At that point, I just realized there's no explaining this. There's no explaining this without just saying Xanax. And stuff like that happened too. I'd call and ask for money. I'd call him and ask for money for a water bill, and he'd just text me back and say, "You've got a well." He called on to the fact that I was lying for money, and finally it all came to a head. I was strung out and had ruined every connection I had made my family just get to the point where they didn't want to be around me, and I finally ended up here at Christian Family Center. My dad called 21 different places in Georgia, South Carolina, and Alabama looking for a bed, and he couldn't find one until he finally talked to somebody in Alabama that said, call this number. And I got in here on a Saturday. And that was August 21st, 2010. At that point, I had no desire whatsoever to be clean and sober. What I had a desire to do was get back on my parents' good side, get the law off my back, get everything back where I could go back out and get high. Went to detox, got through that, was just ready to do what I had to do. First it was 30 days to get back out and use again. There may be some people right now, whether you've been here 2 weeks or 2 months or 16 months, that don't want to get clean. I understand that because I've been there. I started going to classes here, and at 30 days I made a commitment after talking to my parents that I'd stay for 90 days. In 90 days I decided, stuff started, I had color back in my face, I'd gained weight, a lot of weight, and And I was feeling good. For the first time in my adult life, I actually felt good when I woke up and felt good when I went to sleep. And I didn't need anything being put into my body to get that feeling. And at that point, I made the decision, this is what I want for my life. I want to be clean and sober. I don't want to be that person, that long-haired hippie that followed widespread panic. I don't want to be him anymore. I don't want to be that person that was snorting Oxycontin every minute of the day that he could get his hands on it. I made that conscious decision. I asked God into my life. It was at a tent revival. We used to have them out there in the parking lot once a year. Coldest, rainiest night of the year in 2010, and I got on my knees and just cried out to God, save me, deliver me, heal me. And I haven't turned back since. I'm so glad that I made that decision. And not only that, God has given me so much in these 6 years that I couldn't, if I'd have made a list in 2010 of what I wanted to happen, I'd have sold God short. I've gotten so much now that I never thought I'd be able to have. I'm doing so much stuff that I never thought I'd be able to do. It's just amazing when you surrender to God what He can do with your life. It's also amazing just being off drugs, how good you feel. If you've only been here a few days or a few weeks, withdrawals suck. Post-acute withdrawals are awful. That tip of the tongue thing where you've been clean 3 or 4 months, but you still can't remember stuff. You still feel bad at night. I get that. It's terrible. And going back and using drugs makes it go away. But time also helps. The longer you stay clean, the less and less those symptoms stay around. Well, I decided after I graduated here that I was going to stay on. Hank offered me a job making $50 a week to work here. I didn't see how I was going to be able to survive on that. I was used to making a lot more. But I knew this was what I wanted to do, so I stayed on. And God just continued to bless me. And you may get tired of hearing those words, God continued to bless me, but I'm not going to stop saying them because that's what He did. He did so much in my life, and I can't thank Him enough. I got back to where my mom, instead of being worried that I was coming over and hiding her pocketbook, hiding everything that she wanted, she was texting and calling me, asking me when I was going to come home. I remember in my addiction, I don't know what made me feel worse. I could go back in my room and I could hear my mom crying because of the stuff I'd done. And it was just as bad that I made my mom cry, but to me it was worse that I didn't care that I made my mom cry. I'd gotten so cold, so distant that I didn't care that the few people that still loved me and cared about me, it was breaking their hearts. It didn't affect me. And looking back on it, that hurts. There's going to be people in your life that you've hurt that cared about you. I mean, it's easy to look at somebody that didn't care about you and say, well, I don't care if you're mad at me or not. But when the few people in your life that really care about you, when you turn your back on them, and then you have to realize months down the road what you've done and how you've hurt them when you finally sober up and you can't pop a pill, you can't snort a line, you can't take a drink to make that pain go away, it's hard to sit there and live with yourself. After I graduated here, started working here, and God just continued to pour stuff into my life. He gave me the opportunity to write music. When I got here, I played the piano when I was in 2nd grade. I knew how to play Jesus Loves Me, and I knew how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb, and that was about it. When I had free time, I realized that I could play by ear. Never played before, couldn't do anything, and God He worked through me to be able to play. I don't deserve to be able to play in the bands I've played in. I didn't have any formal training. I went through and I figured out that I could listen to a song and play it. There was so much stuff like that God just blessed me with. And then about 2 years ago, actually, last week was 2 years ago, I'd written several songs, and I'd started going out and speaking, giving my testimonies at churches, Celebrate Recovery meetings, AA meetings, you name it. I was all over the place speaking. And I had this lady that would travel with me named Julie, and we'd written a song together called Rainbow After the Flood, which I'm about to play. And she was supposed to come and sing that song at Celebrate Recovery in Dublin. Well, she's got multiple sclerosis, and that night she happened to be in the midst of an MS attack. So with an hour left to go, I'm panicking because I've got to give my testimony and play music, and I don't have anybody that can sing. Don't know if you've ever heard me sing before, but I can't. Really. But Russ, the guy that runs Celebrate Recovery, said, this is a girl that can sing. She's going to get up there and sing with you. Her name was Mary Louise Boutwell. We played that night. He asked us to keep playing the 4th Monday of every month. And all we were doing was playing. I'd go and I'd practice with her once or twice a month, and we'd play once a month. Well, in July, we started dating, and one thing led to another. We started playing a lot more places. We started a band called No More Lies. We recorded a CD, or 2 songs for a CD. We had an entire CD ready to record. There was so much stuff that God was doing in our lives, just blessing us with the opportunity to reach more people than I've ever imagined being able to reach before, to tell my story, for her to tell her story, and just to give people hope and give family members and addicts alike hope that there is life after drugs, that no matter how far you've gone down, you can always come back up, and to do it through the saving power of Jesus Christ. The song that I wrote that I was going to play that night and that Mary Louise ended up playing and recording with me was called Rainbow After the Flood. And it's about, I think everybody knows the flood story from Genesis, that God destroyed the world with water in response to the world's sin. And that's what had happened in my life. My life had been destroyed because of all of my sin. All the choices I made had led me to a place of death and destruction, where I was at my rock bottom. And after all of that destruction, in the midst of everything that I'd done, when I got clean, He gave me a thing of beauty, a rainbow after the flood. And this first song we're going to play is that song. And before Billy plays it, I just want to preface it with this. I was in recovery, but Mary Louise was in recovery too. She was a former heroin addict, and been homeless at one point. She's got a great family. Her dad's a chiropractor, her mom's an RN and a teacher. She had a similar story to mine. She got off track, started shooting heroin, and lost everything. And she would interject her story in these songs too. But I hope you enjoyed the song. It's called Rainbow After the Flood.
Written by Nick, his originals, about his story, but it's mine too. My story is not much different than anybody else's in here. Some of us may have gone further than others. Some of us may have just decided that we didn't want to keep digging and that we had hit the bottom we wanted to hit. But as I was driving through Augusta this weekend, I just saw so many places and so many things, all these motels that I used to live in, and parking lots that I used to sleep in the back of my car. And just thinking about how cold it was, not being able to run the heat in the car. It's 20 degrees outside in the middle of January, and not knowing what to do, and wanting something better, wanting something different for my life, but not knowing how to do it. And this song is about the redemption of Jesus. I appreciate Curtis and him telling y'all to give it up for us, but the one that we really need to give it up for is him, because he has redeemed us all, and he has given us all another chance. I don't know if I'd still be sitting in Richmond County Jail right now if it weren't for God. I don't know if I'd be dead somewhere in the bathroom in the trashy motel with the spoon still in my hand. But I don't have to worry about that today because I'm alive through Jesus Christ. It's on our CD. The message is the most important. God that shows He loved me, oh, so empty. Addiction calls.
we have any more batteries, Billy? This one's about to die.
Yeah, I'll run them.
That video was recorded on August 8th of last year. At that point, just fast forwarding a little bit from what I was talking about earlier, on July 19th, we got engaged. We're in Daytona, asked her to marry me. We started making plans for having a life together. It was stressful, it was tough. She had a lot of issues she was dealing with. She had chronic pain, fibromyalgia, hip bursitis, so she was going to doctors just about every week. But we wanted to start our life together. We'd already started making wedding plans. We were going to get married St. Patrick's Day weekend of this year. Everything looked like it was falling into place. We recorded that song. We were hoping that we're going to get that and another song that she and I wrote called Sweet Feeling on the radio. At more than any time else in my life, it looked like everything was looking up. And Rainbow After the Flood, that song really spoke to how I felt, because it was something that I didn't deserve. I didn't deserve to have somebody like that in my life. I didn't deserve to still be alive, but in spite of everything I did, God had blessed me with that. I said that was on August 8th, 2016. She was 22 months clean at that point. Fast forward 11 days, on August 19th, it's a Friday, I get a call from her that she's going back to Augusta. I'm sure most of you heard that story she just told. Something didn't sound right. I text her back and forth. I call her. Finally, I just come out and ask her at 6 o'clock on Friday afternoon. I say, have you used? And she said she'd taken a Percocet. She'd relapsed. She hadn't fully blown relapse, but she had taken a pain pill. She'd gone 22 months without it. For whatever reason, whether the pain was too much, the stress was too much. I'm not trying to make excuses for a single thing she did. I don't know why she took it, but she took it. I did everything I'm trained to do. I'm a certified addiction counselor. I've got over 600 hours of addiction-specific training. I did everything I was trained to do to try to calm her down, get her back to her parents' house, and just get her in a safe place. Oh, at the same time, as soon as I heard that, I jumped in my car and I flew to Augusta as fast as I could. Didn't take any clothes, didn't take anything. I mean, I had the clothes on my back and a bottle of water. Got to her parents' house. We were all calling her. No answer. I was sending texts left and right. And I'm just sitting up there in Augusta at her parents' house with the three of us in the room, knowing absolutely nothing. I knew that she'd relapsed. I didn't know if she'd continued using. I didn't know if she'd passed out somewhere. I didn't know if she'd been arrested. At that point, and I never thought I'd say this until then, I was praying for a call that saying she got locked up, because I just didn't know what was going on. I had this dread that overcame me, that made me feel like something bad was happening, but I was just in that point where I didn't know. I do family classes here once a month, and I talk to parents who have that same fear that when their loved one goes out, that they just don't know if he's ever coming back, and I never understood it until that night. Well, about 1 o'clock that morning on August 20th, I get a call from the Richmond County Sheriff's Department. I was the emergency contact in her phone. They said, you need to get to Augusta State University Hospital immediately. Started asking questions. All they would say is, you need to get here immediately. Get there. She relapsed and gone back to shooting heroin. I don't know if it was laced with fentanyl. I don't know if she tried to shoot more than she should have, because she was used to shooting so much, and in 22 months clean, she lost her tolerance. Whatever the case may have been, she had shot up, she lost consciousness, and for 2 hours she sat in a bathtub with no blood flow to her brain and no heartbeat. By some miracle, she was still alive. She was barely alive, but the doctors worked tirelessly. I'll never be able to thank them enough for what they did. They got a pulse back, they got blood flow back to her brain. She had more tubes in her than anybody I've ever seen. She was on a pacemaker, she was on a ventilator, she was on dialysis, she had needles sticking in and out of her, and 6 different doctors working around the clock. And I'm in the family room with her parents and her aunt and uncle, just wondering, just praying, God, please give me a miracle. And they come in, and every time, I don't know if you've ever been in this situation with a loved one. If you can probably relate. Every time one of the doctors would come out and come to that waiting room, it was just like my heart would sink. And they said, there's a 99% chance she won't live. We're going to do all we can. They go back. We say, sure, go ahead, do whatever you can. Come back and say, there's still a 99% chance she won't live, but there's also a 99% chance if she does live, another 99% chance that she'll be a vegetable for the rest of her life. She went so long without blood flow and oxygen to the brain, we don't know if she'll ever be able to do any executive thinking, any functioning. But we're going to try everything we can. And at 5:30 that morning, 5:47, or about 5:30, they came in and said, we need to make a decision. And her parents looked at me, and it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I still get emotional thinking about it, to say there's nothing left to do. Let her die in peace. And at that point, it's like a weight was lifted off of me, because I knew she was going. I knew where she was going. We'd had this conversation so many times. But it was just an outpouring of emotion, because they took her off the machine for 17 minutes. She continued to breathe, and then at 5:47 a.m., she was gone. I never thought I'd live through something like that, and I'm going to try to keep my composure. I promise I am. In those next few days, it's the toughest time I've ever had. August 20th is when she died. August 21st was my 6 years clean day. On that day, we were supposed to pick out wedding cakes. Instead, we're picking out caskets. Without God in my life, and I don't know if I could have done that at 2 years, 3 years sober, at 6 years sober, and with God in my life, I never had a desire to use Oxycontin. There were times when I wanted to just get away, when I wanted Xanax, something to not feel, but never so much that I would actually do it. I was supported by so many people from all over the state. I never could have imagined how many people would come out. We had a memorial service at Celebrate Recovery where we recorded a lot of these videos, and had 400 people show up from all over the place. On Tuesday night, we had a visitation, and we were supposed to go from 5 to 7. We ended up opening the doors at 4:45, and the last person left around 10:30. Over 1,000 people signed a guest book, and there were so many people that showed their love and support. Like I said, from Augusta, from Marshallville, where I'm from here, from this area. It's like everybody descended on Augusta to show their love and support. And those next few days, the funeral, John was at the funeral. It's the best funeral service I've ever been to. The pastor preached an amazing message. We showed that video of Rainbow After the Flood. A friend of mine named Martin from Alma came and played How Great Thou Art. As far as funerals go, it was as good as I could have asked for. But in those next few days, that's when the real pain started to set in. When the shock wore off, when I realized, when I wasn't in that state of just shock and I was having to deal with those emotions, that's when the pain started. And even in the midst of that, I still looked, and I played that song over and over and over again, Rainbow After the Flood, because it really applied to my life right then. That entire flood story applied to my life. And I know everybody knows the basics of it. But I started reading that over and over again. And y'all know how long it rained for when Noah was on the flood? 40 days and 40 nights. I knew that. But the more and more I read it, I realized that it didn't just rain for 40 days and 40 nights. After those 40 days and 40 nights, for another 150 days, the water still rose. At this point, and I'm going to go on a little tangent right here, Noah was not the reason for the flood. Noah was deemed righteous by God. God gave him instructions to build an ark, to get ready to collect 2 of every animal, 7 of certain ones. And he gave him instructions, but Noah had to follow God blindly. At this point, it never rained before. The waters came from under the earth to provide water. It had never rained before. So God's telling him, build a boat on dry land for something that you've never seen before. And Noah was obedient. He was faithful, and he did it. But I can only imagine when Noah was getting in the ark and he shut those doors and all of a sudden the rain started falling, what he had to feel like. For 40 days and 40 nights, something he'd never seen before, something he'd never gone through before was coming down. He didn't know he couldn't have had any way to prepare him for what was happening. It's not like, he was a sea captain that had seen storms after storms after storms. He had to just trust God. And in those 40 days and 40 nights after Mary Louise died, that was all I was able to do. Nothing in my training, nothing in my past had prepared me for the emotional catastrophe that was going to happen. So all I could do was give it up to God. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get through this, but I know with you, I can. people would ask me every single day, are you holding up okay? Are you strong? Are you staying strong? And I would lie and say yes. But the truth was, I wasn't. I'm weak. I wanted to cry. I wanted to spend all of that entire time just on my knees by myself. But through God, I was strong enough to do it. I was strong enough to go on, to continue coming to work, to continue speaking, to continue playing. And I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I said that every single morning when I get up. And in 40 days and 40 nights, that was, and it's weird to me, or it's really amazing to me how my story lined up. And those, after those 40 days and 40 nights, the water still rose. For 150 days for Noah, even after the rain stopped, the waters continued to rise. And that's what I went through too. It wasn't just that, I'd gotten past the initial shock in those first couple of weeks of being without her. For 150 days, I had to learn how to live without her, how to cope without her, how to live my life again. I made plans on spending every day for the rest of my life with this person, and she was taken from me a month after I proposed to her. It took a lot to be able to learn how to live without her. And it was tough because I went through all this stuff, and I kept finding all this stuff that reminded me of her. We emptied out her apartment. I moved most of it that we didn't donate back into my house. So my entire house smelled like her. I was going through her stuff, and I would just find all these things. I'd find these prayers that she wrote out that I had no idea. She had a war room in her apartment dedicated to prayers that she would pray for people. And I know it's going to be tough to see, but I've got it printed out. Billy, can you dim the lights and not completely come on? Is there any way to make it full screen?
Yeah.
It'll be good like that. This is a prayer she wrote to me. I had no idea she'd written it. I don't know when she wrote it. It was...
I can't see.
We'll leave it up there for just a minute. It was a prayer she wrote to God about me, and I had no idea she was doing stuff like this. And I just broke down crying when I saw it. Can you turn the lights back on, because I'm going to read it from up here. It says, Dear God, I lift Nicholas up to you right now, Lord, and ask that you would give him peace. Father God, please pour your spirit upon him and fill him with your presence and goodness. Lord, bind up all evil which stands in the way of his joy through you, and give him hope for today and for the future. Grant him the ability to know and believe that all is well, and that you're holding me in the palm of your hand. Shower him with your love in this moment, and give him strength to overcome the pain of the past. This is stuff she wrote months before all this happened, but it spoke to me so strong after she died and still today. Allow him to face all his fears with confidence that you are on our side and that you are with us always, even until the end of the age. Father, I pray that in your infinite wisdom and sovereignty that you would carry Nicholas through this dark time and allow him to see the light at the end of the tunnel, your light. Lord, pour your grace and mercy upon him that he may find rest in you. Heal his broken spirit and lift him up out of darkness he has found himself in. Save him from his sadness and lift his head toward you. Comfort his broken heart and bind his wounds. Care for him in ways that I cannot, and love him in ways I am incapable of loving him. Send your comforter to sustain him and bring him up from his sorrow. Bring him back to a place of joy and happiness, and remind him now in this moment that you are there. Allow him now to feel my prayers, to feel your peace fall upon him. Breathe new life into his soul and refresh him with your wellspring of life. Heal his physical ailments today, Lord, that he may rest well tonight and be able to take tomorrow on with health and a rejuvenated body. Heal his heart as you promised in Psalm 143:3 and Isaiah 61:1-3. Thank you, Lord, for watching over and caring for my sweet baby Nicholas. I love you, Lord. Amen. It blew me away. It still does. That everything she wrote then applied to me so much in those 150 days after she died. When I was, like I said, when the waters were still rising, when I was still trying to learn to live without her. I had a dream, and I still remember it as vivid as if it just happened in real life, where we were driving in my car. This is a couple of months after she passed away, and she looked at me and said, "You've got to learn how to live without me." And I had trouble doing that. I trusted God that he would bring me through it. But at the time, just like Noah had to feel when the rains were falling and he's in an ark, without any idea of what's going on or how he's going to get out of there, all he could do was trust God. All I was able to do at that point was trust God. If you're coming out of addiction right now, that's probably at the point where you're at. If this is your first time coming out, even if it's not your first time trying to get clean, nothing you've done, if you're in this program, nothing you've done has worked before. And you're really at a point where you need to trust God and just throw it up and say, my ways haven't worked. I give it all to you. That's the only way I've gotten through this last year. And I hope that you've gotten to a point where you realize that you're in need of a higher power, of Jesus Christ's love to be able to get through it. I wrote a song, and this is another song I wrote. Julie, the lady I talked about earlier, actually sang it at Celebrate Recovery. It's more or less a letter I wrote to Mary Louise, and it was based on everything it was a way for me to get emotions out when I couldn't really say them about what I was going through. At this point, it was about 140 days after she had died, and we're going to play this song and I'm going to speak a little bit more.
But this is the first time that I ever sang this song for anybody. Last night was the very first time I ever heard her sing it with me. He wrote this song for Mary Louise. I believe you will be blessed by it. I believe you will. You know his testimony and you know what he's been through, so I just pray that you'll just listen as his words ring over his heart. I'm honored to be able to sing these songs. Sing for me. Sometimes I wish I would take the pain I feel inside from the memories of that morning when I said my last goodbye. You touched so many people with the sweet songs that you sang about rainbows and sweet feelings and breaking every chain. You sang for me. You spoke life into my soul. You prayed for me. When I was broke, you made me whole. Now I got a broken heart, knowing we've been torn apart, but on the same day, the same for me. And I'm trying my best to learn to live without you. It's so hard when every dream I dream's about you. Guess I'm trying my best to learn to live
song, I was still going through a lot of stress, a lot of emotions, and it was still in that first 150 days. When Noah, after those first 150 days were over for Noah, when the water stopped rising, he still wasn't out of the woods yet. It receded for the rest of that year. Even though the floods had passed, even though the waters had stopped rising, he was still stuck on that boat, having to rely on God for another year before he would ever get back on dry land. And even after he got back on dry land, everything he knew, his life as he knew it, was over. He had to start over. He had to rely on God to provide him with everything he needed. He was back in his environment, but the environment had changed. And that's where I'm at right now. The waters are still going down, and whenever, I don't know if I'll ever get over the death, but whenever I get to the point where it's not affecting me every single day, when I'm not thinking about her every single day, I've still got to get back into an environment without her. You're going to have to do the same thing with alcohol and drugs. If you want to stay clean, if you want to live that life and fulfill your potential, you're going to have to go back to an environment that's similar to you, but you're going to have to change. I mean, it's going to have to be a different environment for you. You're not going to be able to do the same things you used to do, to be around the same people you used to be around. And I had to get that in my head too, not just with drugs and alcohol, but with dealing with the death of Mary Louise. And thank God that He's put people in my life that have helped me get to the point I'm at right now. I'm dating somebody right now, amazing person. She lost her husband 3.5 years ago and understands what I'm going through. God put her in my life. I've got friends and family that have just been overwhelmingly supportive, trying to support me through. Even though I'm not, crying myself to sleep at night, I'm not, asking God, why did you take her every single day? There's still times when her memories pop up and it just hits me with an overflow of emotions. The last time it really happened was St. Patrick's Day weekend. I went to Augusta. It was the weekend we were supposed to be married. And went and stayed with her family, who's been amazing throughout all of this. And stayed with her family, went to the church we're going to get married at. And all I could think about was a lot of that time during the funeral and those few days around it is a blur to me. Didn't do any drugs, but the emotional overhaul apparently affected my brain just like drugs did, because I don't have a clear memory of everything that happened. I'll remember bits and pieces. And all I could think about while I was there was a pastor that came up to me, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was. Like I said, there were literally thousands of people that came by over the course of the week to give their regards and say that, support us. But he took me to the side and said, I know you're going through struggles. I know it's tough for you. I know that right now it seems like there's no way out of the situation you're in. But regardless, remember this one thing, that Jesus is still on the throne tonight. And it gave me some comfort then, but the more and more I thought about it, especially on that weekend that would have been our wedding weekend, it just kept giving me peace and comfort that no matter what happens, whether I was in a ditch somewhere overdosing on Oxycontin, whether I was in a hospital watching the woman I loved slowly die, whether I was here at CFC, whether I was at Celebrate Recovery, where I was back home, it didn't matter that God was still on the throne tonight, and ultimately that He's in charge of everything, and His master plan will always come to fruition, and that all I have to do is follow His will. As long as I stay in His will, everything else will work out. It's hard to do that. I've seen it happen so many times in my life. I didn't think I'd ever live a drug-free life, yet I did. I didn't think I'd ever get over Mary Louise's death, but I did. And I was able to live without, a constant reminder of it. And it's still tough to be able to trust God with the little things. I trust Him with the big stuff that I have no idea how to handle on my own. On that, drug use, yeah, God, you got it. Dealing with the death, I can't do it on my own, why don't you take it? But the little stuff I still have problems with. And I understand that there's stuff that nobody else knows about that I'm still working on myself. The 10th step talks about continue to take a daily inventory, and when we're wrong, properly admitted it. I think about it like when I'm playing the piano. I was trying to count it out the other night, and I think I've got it between 1,800 and 3,500 notes on every single song I play. Sometimes, there's 7 or 8 notes being played together, but I play between 2,000 and 3,000 notes just about every song I play. And I've been playing for 6.5 years, and I've never gone through an entire song and hit every single note right. listening out here, there's sometimes when it's glaringly obvious that I've messed up. But there's a lot of times that I'm the only one that knows about it. And it's, people come up to me and tell me how much they appreciated me playing, how it sounded perfect. And everybody else thinks it's okay, but I know that there's a couple of notes here and there that got messed up. But they're surrounded by so many that I got right that nobody paid attention to it. There's going to be stuff like that in your life where everything, you're doing so much stuff right. I do the same thing. Doing so many things right that everybody looks at all the good stuff you're doing and they don't realize that the little stuff happens when you're by yourself. The little sins you commit, the little things that are going wrong. I'm at a point right now where I'm trying to work on all those little things, that even though nobody else may know what I'm going through or what I'm doing, that God still knows. And in my, in the pursuit of perfection, you want to fix all those things. God says, "Be perfect as I'm perfect." And it's an ultimate goal. I know I'll never reach it, but everything I can do to get one step closer, I want to do. When I kept thinking about still on the throne tonight, those words just kept going back and forth in my head. And I looked, Mary Louise journaled a lot. And she had written journals, she had written songs that we never recorded. And what I did was I went through a lot of those old songs and a lot of those old journals and pulled out different lines. And I changed some of the words to make them fit a rhyme pattern. And I added some of my own. But I wrote a song with her words called "Still on the Throne Tonight." And the point of this song, I hope it gives people that hear it hope. I hope it gives them assurance that no matter what you're going through, when everything in your life seems like it's falling apart, when you don't know how you'll get your wife back, you don't know how you'll get your kids back, you're upside down on your mortgage, your car's about to be repossessed, whatever the case may be, that no matter what your temporary trials and struggles are, that God is still on the throne tonight. And I hope you enjoy the song, and we'll play it and I'll speak for just a few minutes.
When it seems like hope is out of sight, He's still on the throne tonight. When your legs go numb and your chest gets tight, He's still on the throne tonight. Jesus reigns up on high. He's still on the throne tonight. We lift our hands and we shout our cries. He's still on the throne tonight. He's on the throne tonight. Yes, He's on the throne tonight. King of Kings, Jesus Christ. He's still on the throne tonight. Yes, He is. When you're hurt by all the vicious lies, He's still on the throne tonight. When you can't see past your pain inside, He's still on the throne tonight. Jesus reigns up on high. He's still on the throne tonight. We lift our hands and we shout our cries. He's still on the throne tonight. He's on the throne tonight. Yes, He's on the throne tonight. King of Kings, Jesus Christ. He's on the throne tonight. His crimson blood will wash you white. He's still on the throne tonight. He can make all things right. He's still on the throne tonight. Jesus reigns up on high. He's still on the throne tonight. We lift our hands and we shout our cries. He's still
going through, or the phrase going through my head, and it really got me through. But I hope whatever struggles you're going through, I know everybody in here is coming off drugs or alcohol, but that's not the only struggle you go through when you come into this program. Your life's in shambles, it's a mess. There's a lot of stuff that you have to figure out how to put the pieces together. And that phrase, that he's still on the throne tonight, just gives me that reassurance that he can take care of it all. Because normally when I speak, I'm speaking about clinical applications of addiction counseling. Like I said, I'm on the board of directors. I teach addiction counselors and people trying to be addiction counselors, evidence-based practices, all kind of different stuff, all kind of clinical aspects of training. But I know in my own life that the one thing that got me through wasn't cognitive behavioral therapy, it wasn't motivational interviewing, it was the saving power of Jesus Christ. And I never want to fall short to let anybody think otherwise, that I don't believe with my entire heart and everything in me that the only way I'm clean today is through Christ.
Amen.
I've got one more video to show, and it's a slideshow that we played at her memorial service, and it's her singing the song we recorded, Sweet Feeling, my favorite song that we wrote. She and I wrote it together. It's an upbeat song, and not showing it to try to be sad, not showing it to try to bring anybody down. I just want, if you've got that thought in your mind that you want to go back out, that you want to test the waters one more time, I'm just begging you to think twice about it. It took her 12 hours to go from 22 months clean to brain dead. Thousands of people came out to show their support. Thousands of people loved her and would have done anything for her, but she couldn't see it at the time. You may be in that position where you don't think anybody is fighting for you, you don't think anybody cares about you. Trust me, they do. I've been to so many funerals in the last 6 years of people that had no intention of that being their last time going out. I know when she took that Percocet that she didn't do it with intention, that later on she'd be banging heroin, and when she drew it up in that needle, I know she had no intention of that being the last breath she ever took on her own. If you're in that place where you want to go back out, come talk to me, come talk to Hank, come talk to one of us. It's not working, not just because of the people you hurt, the people that you leave behind. You've got so much potential and so much more that you can do on this earth. You can help people that are going through the same thing you're going through now. You can be a father to your kids, a husband to your wife, a son to your moms and father and dads. I just want to give you encouragement that it's not worth going back out there. I wish every day that she had made a different choice. I wish, and for a long time I started thinking about what I could have done differently to keep her from doing that. In the end, there wasn't anything I could do. But I just want you to know that there's people here that care about you. There's people back home that care about you. And I hope you enjoyed this last song. And once again, thanks for paying attention this whole time. It's been a blessing to be able to speak to you.
Seems like better days are oh so far away. I search for presence and your love so divine. Every now and then I get a deep tingling, lets me know I am yours.